Kareem, have you met with a lot of younger kids from immigrant background parents who've had difficulty in terms of having their parents kind of relate to some of the problems that they're having? I know when I was growing up in this country, I had a lot of those kind of issues when I had difficulty, whether it was socially or what have you. My dad wanted to understand what I'm going through, or he wanted to send me to a therapist, and I was just an angry rock and roll rebel, and I just wanted to rebel against everything. And he wanted to send me to a counselor, but he never understood that my relationship with that counselor would never understand that I'm a Muslim and I have these struggles that I'm battling with my religion as well as social pressures, So how do those three dynamics come into play? You have immigrant parents who don't really understand how you're being raised up. Then you have the Western culture that's really pushing you in one direction, and then you don't have anyone else to talk to about it. But then now there's groups like you, like Noor Consulting in the Bay Area. Over here in Chicago, we have the Khalil Center. How are you handling those type of patients?
Well, yes, it is a common pattern. I think when any family or set of parents come from another country, they are carrying with them, values and traditions which help construct their identity. And when they come to a new society, there is a level of threat there, right, for self-preservation. And so I like to define traditions as, it's the passing on of values and customs and beliefs and behaviors. But traditionalism is when that gets dogmatic and it becomes, closed-minded. It's like, no, this is the only way you're ever going to do things. And sometimes that causes even more of a rift with the children because they feel that they have to follow this package of customs and values, which they see all around them as not really how things go, right, in America. So, of course, they start to feel this distance, this lack of understanding, this lack of connection with their parents. I think this also happens on the religious front because, again, many of our religious understandings and practices are kind of conflated with the cultural patterns of our country. And so we bring that kind of all in one bundled package. But like, for instance, when I get questions like parents saying, my kids don't pray, what do we do? And I always ask the parents, I never make it about the kids because it starts with the parents, right? And every mosque I go to, it's the same thing, right? We need more youth programs and the youth. I'm like, the youth are a product of you, so what are you guys doing, as adults, as the leaders? And we need to make sure that it's not always just about the youth because the youth are just a reflection of what's happening on the adult level. What kind of community and environment are we creating at our masajid? Not to say that all of them are bad, but this is one of the reasons why youth don't go, right? Or they struggle with it. So, for example, when parents say, my kids don't pray, what do I do about it? I ask the parents, I say, why do you pray? And they say, because Allah commanded it. And I said, well, why does Allah command it? Well, if He doesn't need you to pray, He doesn't need your prayer. And they don't know how to answer. They say, that's exactly what my son says. I'm like, well, that's a sign from Allah that you need to substantiate your own beliefs and practices.
SubhanAllah. Wow. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.